Welcome to week 3 and podcast number 3 of What Thad Thinks. I am Thad Joyner, serial entrepreneur, owner of multiple businesses. This is What Thad Thinks, powered by Better Beans Branding, and I happen to be the CEO of Better Beans Branding. Thank you for joining this podcast. Make sure to subscribe. This podcast will be downloaded every Friday morning at 11:59 a.m. Sharp. And if you are a friend, make sure to rate. If you're a really good friend, make sure to leave some comments and let us know how you think we're doing. Also, you can email me at thad@betterbeansbranding.com or info@betterbeansbranding.com to get some questions to be read live at next week's podcast. We're going to be answering some of your questions and really giving you what Thad thinks. So send some tough questions, some hard questions, or some questions that you think would just help you out. Real proud yesterday to see we had election day. Love seeing across multiple social media mediums, online and on news sites, seeing so many people out voting and participating in the American tradition of election day. Great times there. I would also like to bring on my partner, Neil Sengupta. We like to call him my "we wish he was silent" partner, but we're going to bring him on. He's not a silent partner, unfortunately. At times talks too much, but he's on here. And so, hey, what's up, Flacco?
Flacco, I haven't heard that name in quite a while.
You remember my name?
Yeah, you were Diego. For the life of me, I wasn't sure whether it was James. Was that James or Roger?
Yeah, so it definitely wasn't what they called Diego in the movie Anchorman. I don't know if you remember.
I don't remember
Diego.
that. San Diego, yeah.
But no, back in Neil and I's younger days, when Neil had lots of hair, we had we worked together with a restaurant franchise, and all the kitchen guys just nicknamed us. Neil was nicknamed Flacco for skinny, and I have no idea why I was called Diego, but that's what I ended up with. I like to say it was because it was Spanish for James, but to life of me, I have no idea. What's that?
We should go with that. We should go with that.
I don't know how Diego becomes James. I'm really not sure that's even accurate.
I would have thought Jaime would have been James.
Yeah. So why would they call me Diego? Maybe there was already a Jaime.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. Flacco, and I guess that would have been 30 or 40 pounds lighter than where I am now.
You were definitely Moss Flacco then.
Yeah, that's correct. Those are good times. So how have you been doing? What's going on today?
Yeah, not much. Excited for the summer. I'm trying to make it feel like summer over here instead of like COVID time, because we've had such an extended summer. But feeling a little bit like summer. We played in our very first baseball tournament this past weekend. That was exciting. So we played 4 games, first one since the COVID break. My team did really well. We played up in an older age group, and my boys did really well. But I was really just proud to see so many people at the games, and kids having a good time, and kids being able to be kids. So it felt a little more normal. So that's what's going over here. What about over your way?
I'll tell you what. Funny you should talk about Flacco and Diego, and maybe one day we'll talk about our boating experience together. I got a kayak last week, and as a gift. And it's been decades since I've been on a boat. In this case, on this boat, I was clothed. So I got my kids into a kayak and paddled around a lake, and for the life of me, couldn't figure out how to not go in circles. So I got a little exercise in, so that was a lot of fun. But, speaking of things that are fun, are you a movie guy? Are you a movie theater guy? Or are you planning to go to movies again?
Well, yeah. Our family loves going to the theater. We have a theater here at the house too, so we love watching movies here. We love watching movies together. But the movie theater, absolutely. I mean, that's one thing that has kind of been taken from us through this period that we miss. I mean, some movies you just kind of have to go to the theater. You know, we love our family. We love going to play mini golf, and we love movie theaters. And we were fired up for you know, like the re-release of or the new Top Gun movie that was coming out. You know, I made my kids watch the old Top Gun, and
Oh man,
God Almighty, what a good movie! I forgot how great it was, and hearing that in the theater and hearing the jet engines go, and just watching some of you know, just one of the greatest American movies ever made, really, especially of our time, of just an action movie, a feel-good movie. That was it.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. Hard not to get inspired when you see some of the scenes that are in that original Top Gun. I was.
I can't wait for the new one. I can't wait for the new.
I guess it was supposed to be out Memorial Day weekend or sometime in May, and we shall see. I mean, there's a lot of big releases that were scheduled by a lot of movie houses that just have gone on complete pause, right? From Disney, you know, we've all got young kids, but they were looking to release Mulan, the live action Mulan. That was supposed to be a real big deal. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to Top Gun too.
You know, thinking of flying, SpaceX, right? How about that? That was big news last week.
Man, what rocket? Who dreams of that?
Yeah,
I can barely get out of my subdivision.
I know my wife absolutely loves space, and this kind of came on later in life for her, that she really spends a lot of time outside with this app that'll tell her what star is where and what planet is where. But like every night we're laying in bed and she's on this app and she'll say, "Oh, the space station's going to come by in 12 minutes. Let's go outside." So like at 11 o'clock at night, we're sitting in our front yard waiting for the space station to come by. If you haven't done that, you need to go to the website that shows you what time it comes by. It's really cool, and I can't believe how fast it is. I'm probably quoting this wrong, but I think it's like every 82 minutes or something it comes by. That means
I think next week you need to be ready to share that app. I don't know. I've never heard of this.
I can probably find that app while we're talking. I mean, I may have to come back to it, but I can, you know, certainly in today's time, text my wife and find out.
Sure.
Or I could yell at her.
That's fascinating, no doubt. I mean, that's putting a rocket, you know, number one with the, you know, obviously we've canceled our space program, or at least the launch missions from
the
from U.S. soil. So to get back to it and win it in a big way.
Well, I'll tell you what I think is bigger than anything is the vision that Elon Musk has had. I won't say that I agree with everything that the man does or says, but he certainly thinks big. He certainly picks up on some topics that we've talked about in the last few weeks, which is, as leaders, we need to think big. And as small business leaders, we're here to solve problems for customers and for people. And, you know, I know that he does that. It's pretty daggum amazing what he's been able to do with that program. And it's pretty dang amazing still. My mind's blown that we can send people into space, bring them back, dock with stations, orbit the Earth every 80 minutes. I mean, these things are unbelievable. But how about let's talk about his other company and just his leadership with Tesla. You know, we're just 3 or 4 weeks away from him him breaking his county shelter-in-place rules and lining up his people to go into work and getting in line himself and saying, "Hey, look, if you're going to arrest somebody, you're going to arrest me. But we're getting back to work and making cars." What do you think about that?
Yeah, that's impressive. I mean, again, it's putting in a real certainty to, hey, listen, this is a priority, and standing behind it, right? It's not just lip service. You know, the company in his mode, he defined a real need and is fulfilling a demand, right? And so being able to stop and say, wait, this is a priority, let's get back to work, was hugely instrumental in California, for sure. I mean, nationally, really.
Yeah, I mean, I thought it kind of told us, I kind of got 3 lessons, and maybe this is a quick point for our listeners today. I got 3 great things for leadership out of what he did there. number one is that he wasn't scared. He was fearless. I love fearless leaders that aren't scared to open a new business, that aren't scared to open their business, that aren't scared to be first. If first to do things. I mean, if he was scared, hey, what happens if the space launch doesn't go well? What happens if I fail? What happens if someone gets sick? Yes, you have to consider all of those things, and as great leaders do consider all those things. But they put in solutions to those problems. So the first thing is fearless leadership. The second thing is, people need to work. And so if you're not working, if you're not making things happen out there, then the whole model fails. So I got out of it that he was, one, fearless, that two, he understood that people needed to work. And the third thing is that he put customers and his business ahead of the employee desires. Now, I know that sounds weird or sounds misplaced. It's real popular these days to say employees are more important than the business, or employees are more important than the customer. But I think Elon Musk clearly said, and I know he treats his people well and pays them well, but he clearly said in his behavior that the business and the customer came first. So I think that's a great argument, a great thing we can discuss today. I know we have a great American in Vernon Mason joining us today. He is a former childcare owner, a commercial real estate owner, an amazing speaker, a humorist, a comedian, a keynote speaker, and an overall great dude, as I'd like to say. But he is the owner and founder of Director Leadership Solutions, and you can see him at directorleadershipsolutions.com. Book a speech, book a training, or just send him a funny email and make him laugh. All those things are welcome to do. But Vernon, welcome.
Hey, McFabius, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty daggum good.
Neil, how you hanging in there?
I'm doing great, Vernon. Good to see you again.
Doesn't sound like, I was listening in. Doesn't sound like you've had too much abuse this morning. So, that's yet to be come.
Oh, it's not done yet.
Have I been too not? Neil, can you mute? Nobody cares what you think. It's all about me and Vernon.
Thank you, Vernon.
I love that comment that you can't get out of your neighborhood.
Hey, oh my God. Okay, Vernon. So the very first weekend I ever met Neil. So he is, I went to work at the restaurant franchise that he was already attending, and we were roughly the same age. He roughly, when I say that, he is much older than me, but we were younger. I think I was like 21 years old. And so we were running life pretty hard back then, right? So we were, we had the pedal down. So we found another young guys. We wanted to hang out together. We was like, hey, let's go out. And so we were opening a new restaurant on this road. Do you remember the roads that used to have green arrows or red X's above the lanes, like the lanes that change?
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes you go north on the road, sometimes you're allowed to go south, right?
Yeah. Around arenas and things like that.
Yeah. So I agree to let him drive. I've never ridden with him. I don't really have much experience, as I just know we're going to go hit the town and have a good time. So Neil's like, I'll drive. And I was like, all right, good. So the very first road we go to turn on, he turns into the wrong lane going the wrong direction. And there are literally, this is like a 6-lane road. There are cars coming right at us. My entire life flashes before my eyes. He has to rip off the road and jump the curb in his little beat up car. I mean, I don't know how the tires didn't pop, because we absolutely hit him going like 30 miles an hour. I kicked him out of the car. I said, I'm driving your car. And I have maybe in my 20 years of friendship, or 23 years of friendship, I don't know that I have ever, maybe one time, ridden with him since then. He's not allowed to drive members of Better Beans. He's definitely not allowed to ride me, to drive me anywhere. But when he said he can't get out of his own neighborhood, no kidding. He shouldn't be allowed to go anywhere. I'm so glad you brought that up, Vernon. I didn't even cue that. That was
oh my, those stories you have. Oh my gosh, that has funniest stories I ever remember hearing is the one about the jacket. We won't talk about it today, but remember the jacket. Yeah. And someone was getting married, and yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to tell that one some other time. But we
Yeah.
definitely need to get to that.
That's the
I
whole
have
point.
plenty of Neil stories. They go on and on and on and on. You know, we can talk about Bait Boy at a different time as well. So yeah, so we'll definitely get to that. So what's going on in your world, man?
Well, hanging out. I'll tell you, I'm trying to keep it between the lanes, as they say, between the ditch and the curb. Trying to help people out, spending a lot of time doing web calls and interacting with directors and owners, and trying to keep their sanity. And I was talking to one yesterday, was in tears, and just, you know, she has a capacity of 800, and currently she's running about 181. And so it's just, you know, it's tough out there. It's really tough out there. And, you know, you brought up Elon Musk, and, you know, you've got to love, you know, being a leader, you have to be able to take risk, you know, absolutely. And when it comes to, I love the conversation you're having about the, you know, what's more important, that, you know, that Elon, he put his business first, right? He made decisions that said, you know, ultimately we've got to get this mama back up on the road, we've got going, right? And I think that's where we are in our industry. So many people in our industry, we are heart-centered. So we lead with our heart, we make decisions with our heart, and many times that heart can lead you right to bankruptcy. And so, you know, trying to talk people through there is a balance you have to make, you know, in this, especially in this COVID time, of getting back to work and getting your people in there, so hopefully that they feel safe, but not just sitting home and not just dwindling your resources down to absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think you and I have seen across the country that the longer you kind of operate in fear, the harder, the more fearful you become.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're talking to people across the country, like we're, you know, most of my businesses are Florida and Georgia. We're pretty much full bore. We're open. We're operating. Everything's going, and things are getting pretty close back to normal. And then we talk to other people in the other parts of the country, and they can't believe it. It like blows their mind. Like, what do you mean? Like, they're only open for like 12 people or something. And it's like we're living in two worlds right now. And, you know, I guess time will tell who's right, who's wrong, but it does take bold leadership like Elon Musk showed. I think that fearless leadership, and I think that's what people want to follow. So, I mean, what do you think? Company, customer, or employee? What's more important?
You know, and I can honestly tell you that my belief in this has changed over the years. When I was a newer leader, I believe putting your employees first and everyone else will follow. And I will tell you what my experience has taught me over the last 28 years of being in this industry is that, you know, the best people will put the business first. But what I'll have to say is, but by doing that, it gives those people the resources to take care of their employees, right? I don't see any child care owners or directors across the country that just put the business first, suck all the money out of it, and leave their employees on the side of the road. That is not our industry. Our industry is the better I do, the better I am as an owner, the more I'm going to pull up my people with me, the better I'm going to pay my people. And so, yeah, I said, so that's probably not a popular view to say put your business first, but I believe to be successful, keep the lights on, keep your you know, the roof over your head, and to take care of yourself. Because, you know, people in this industry don't take care of themselves. Many of them will put themselves last. You know, I talk to owners and directors all the time. They don't have 2 nickels in the bank. There's no way, if they don't get something, they can get bailed out from the government, there's no way they can make payroll. And so, you know, thinking about that and thinking about that, these people, that owners and directors are worthy. We work hard. We have the highest risk. And I have never said this before. And last week I was recording a web call with our friend Kathy Petchel, and it just came to me during that web call. And I said, you know, Kathy, the money should follow the responsibility. I'm tired of interacting with owners and directors who not only make as much as their freaking directors, because they pay all the money out to all their employees, and they're sitting there, without much revenue at all. But I definitely feel like we have the most responsibility as the business owner, as the one who makes the decision, as the one who the buck stops here. So the money should follow the responsibility.
Yeah. So I don't disagree with you. Although I don't think I ever had a moment where I thought employees were more important than the business. But I'm glad that you shared. Those are pretty dang good opinions. I put the customer first, the business second, and the employees third. And I actually want to, I would add, well, I won't add right now, but I would add community, and then ownership and management kind of after that. But I didn't give you that opportunity, and so that didn't seem fair. But I would put the customer first. I think without a customer, there is no business, right? So there's no business to protect. So I think if you go out every day and solve problems for customers, being a winner and go solve problems for customers, you will have a phenomenal business. Then you take care of the business and make decisions first filtered through, is this good for the customer? Second, filtered through, is this good for our business? And then lastly, say, hey, is this good for our employees? And the best decisions will kind of line up with all three. But when in doubt, got to stick with the customer and the business first. Agree? Disagree?
Absolutely. Well, each one feeds the other.
That's
So,
right.
no one can, in my opinion, no one can operate in complete isolation of the others. So, they all influence each other. And I definitely can get behind putting the customer first.
You can't take care of employees without a customer, and you have no business without a customer.
Absolutely.
So it kind of starts there.
Yeah, and if you can put the employees first, but if you burn through your reserves and you burn through your capital, there's nothing left.
Well, I mean, let's just take a lot of our small business guys, Vernon, just like you're saying. So if we're putting the employee first, then everybody should have great A1 health insurance, right?
That's right.
Okay. So mom and pop own one restaurant. They're going to give everybody there health insurance. All right. Now, how much would they have to charge for their food to pay for that insurance? I mean, double?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, probably double what they're currently charging, but probably 5 times what McDonald's is charging.
I mean, great insurance would be, I don't know, $1,000 a month per employee, something like that. Yep.
Depending on their age, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So if you averaged out to $1,000, and so if you take like my little Bojangles down there, if I have got about 25 to 30 employees, so we're talking 30 grand a month just in health insurance.
Yeah.
That's $360,000 a year. Okay. Well, I don't know what people think we're making, but it ain't that much. So we got to,
absolutely.
So now that $5 meal to make up for that becomes a $9 meal.
Mm-hmm.
We charge $9. I don't think we have any customers.
No. And then you have less employees.
That's right. Nobody to pay.
Yeah.
So there is no, I mean, the idea is to what you said, that American dream, that American, spirit is to bring people along with you on your success that help push you to success and to be able to do more. But to do that, you got to put the customer first and the business first, make great decisions for them. That allows you to do great things for your employees. I think we agree there. And that was a great take.
Absolutely.
So uncertainty, you brought up this, you were speaking to an owner. I don't know what state was she in that you were talking about used to have 800 students?
Well, surprisingly, it was Texas.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. What part of Texas? That's like 5 states over there.
Fort Worth. Yeah.
But we're talking about a little bit of uncertainty. One thing that some people have mentioned to me they wanted us to talk about was with all the uncertainty around COVID and about when to come back and how to come back, fears of employees, of the employees having fears about coming back. And then we're adding in the recent, the protests and the riots and race relations, elections. I mean, there's so much. I mean, really, for emotionally unstable or or timid people right now, I mean, there's a lot to be scared of. There's a
Yeah.
lot to be scared of.
Makes you want to pull the covers over your head. Absolutely.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, do you go to the grocery store? What time do you go to the grocery store? Do you let your parents out? Do you go to work? So these employees that are expressing a lot of fears around the country about coming back to work, is it worth going back to work? Is it worth driving through protests to get to work? Is it worth not going to protest? Is it worth putting yourself at risk to get sick? What's a leader's role right now in keeping our employees feeling safe and also listening to them? I mean, what should we do with all this fear and uncertainty?
Well, the thing I would say is trying to be some normalcy for them. Because I know many people, what they're doing to survive these days is honestly turning the TV off, turning the news off, and just not listening to it, because it really can get you overwhelmed. I do think that when you have employees who have a strong belief it's not safe for me to come to work, and we always know, we all deal in every industry, you always deal with those employees who find every reason to come to work, or those employees who find every reason not to come to work. And so, you have to balance that. I'm sure there are legitimate employees out there who don't feel safe, who don't want to come to work. Well, I think most of us can operate around those employees. I would be really careful having someone like that on site every day, because then they're basically spreading the love to everybody else. And I probably shouldn't say the love, because that sounds positive. They're spreading the poison, right, to all the other employees. And then you're having this big brouhaha where no one wants to work. So keeping those people away. And, I was talking to an owner recently who was doing a Zoom call, and she had an employee on there. They were doing a Zoom call with their employees, and she had an employee that backed her in a corner. I mean, it was pretty rough. I mean, in front of everybody, but she handled the situation. But being prepared for things like that and not empowering people like that. So finding a way to handle that kind of employee. And, there are some employees like that employee that, number one, she's probably not working for the right place, right? She probably shouldn't be there at all. But number two, girlfriend needs to go home. She needs to not be interacting until she can feel safe herself. And so giving her the permission to go home, and we're good. You just go home. When you're better, you call me. We'll see where we are at that time. I just don't think it's healthy or in our best interest to force people to come to work that don't want to be there, because when they're there, they're not going to do their best work. They're going to poison your good staff. And so working around those people is exactly what I would do. Now, do you terminate those people? I don't know that I would terminate those people unless they really have this pattern has been going on for a long time. We came into this and that was their negativity, then absolutely just get rid of them. Everybody's paying unemployment now. Now is the perfect time. And I tell people, because one thing that in our industry, many industries, people complain about all the time is the bad seeds, is the bad employees. Well, anybody that brings the bad people back right now, shame on them. They're getting exactly what they deserve. If that person was a negative, if that person found every problem, that they can find the problem to any solution, right? If that is that person and you're allowing them to come back, then shame on you. You're getting exactly what you need. Put your big girl panties on, put your big boy pants on, and call them up and say, got to go. It ain't working. You're not a right fit. We wish you well. Good luck.
I like what you said there, that it is and I'm going to build on it. It is absolutely the leader's role right now to be super direct. I think we did a study about 7 years ago now, where I had a lot of business owners in a room, and we were trying to identify who would make the best regional and area managers. And we were trying to identify the traits. What we did was identify the traits that make the best area managers. And I think what we came up with really was, maybe to me, the most important trait of any leader. And that is the ability to be direct and confront.
Yeah.
And so to be able to clearly and comfortably have the difficult conversations and be direct about what's on your mind. And we found that every successful leader that we found was able to have those tough conversations and be direct. So right now, building on what you said, in uncertainty, people want a leader that is direct, that is confident, that is clear, and that can set the path for their company and for their folks. So if you have someone, like you said, a problem employee, someone that's poison in the water, they put a stop to it real quick because they're going to be direct. Hey, do you want to be here? Because if you don't, fine, stay home. If you do, you're going to come here and contribute. And it's their choice.
Absolutely. You know, it has been said that in the early childhood industry, 80% of leaders avoid conflict at all costs.
Yeah.
I mean, we've all had the directors who would go and hide in the bathroom when a parent pulls up, right? Because she had to use the bathroom at that time. It was about avoiding that parent who was going to challenge her or who she didn't need to have a conversation with. You know, when you aren't willing to confront people, you can't be a leader. And when I say confront, it doesn't have to mean
it's just be direct.
You know, we all watch reality shows, and we're not talking about flipping tables over. Although I will have to say,
we don't all watch reality shows, Vernon. We don't all watch them.
I did have a parent checking in on ProCare one day witness me because I had a glass office. Witnessed me literally banging on my desk one day with an employee. It was one of those employees. She had pushed me to that point that I had multiple conversations, and she had so much talent, but I couldn't motivate her. And I got to the point that I literally was banging on the desk, said, "This will stop right now." All right. And so I went to that parent afterwards. She dropped the kid off and came back, and I had ushered the employee out. And I said, I'm sorry. I said, I apologize. You had to see that. She said, "It's all right, Mr. Vernon." She said, "I felt like if you were giving it to her, she deserved it." I said, "Okay." So,
I do that every day around 10 o'clock with Neil.
Banging on the desk.
Banging, yelling, throwing things. Yeah, all of the above.
So I'm not telling everybody out there that's what you should do. I'm just saying that's real life. We all want to be perfect, but we're not perfect. But it is. I will tell you, I'm not a confrontational person by nature, but the responsibility of the job and being a leader pushed me and realized that I had to confront these things because ultimately I signed the checks. The buck stops with me. Mm-hmm. If someone's going to take charge, it's got to be me. And so
I am confrontational, Vernon.
No. Yeah. I've thought about it. Yeah, when I interact with your wife, I say blink 3 times if I need to call 911.
I loved what our friend Andy Sherrard said in one of our meetings, one of our weekly webinars that we've been having through this COVID crisis. And he said it, and it's stayed on my mind and stayed on the top of a lot of my meeting agendas with my leaders. And that is, this time is going to tell you who your tough employees are. I mean, the tough employees, the ones that are going to be in the foxhole with you, that are going to, show up to work in a hurricane. They're going to show up in a snowstorm. They're going to battle for your customers. These are the guys that really, the guys and gals that really believe in you. And I loved hearing that. And it just reminded me, heck yeah, man, that's exactly what it is. And I want to share an example at our restaurant down in St. Augustine. We have, over the last 12 months, had a pretty good success with sales and customers. We have a beautiful facility, but it's been really mediocre at best in profitability. I mean, mediocre may have been a compliment. And for the type of sales they had, we're the #1 store in Florida, one of the top in, if you include South Georgia and Florida, one of the top out there. And we, set records for opening sales. I mean, a lot of success over 18 months, but profitability, mediocre. And when this COVID crisis happened, you kind of didn't replace some employees that left, right? You have some turnover in the restaurant, so right. We didn't replace those. We actually let 2 managers go, just let them go. And they were what we believed to be high talent managers, but we just didn't really think they were sticking to our core values and maybe not being as honest and direct as we wanted them to be. So we kind of let them go. It wasn't letting them go for business. We let them go because, hey, we decided we wanted our core, tough people working for us, the ones that have been with us since the start, that we're going to fight no matter what and do what needed to be done in this time. Well, after a really bad March, because we lost so much business, April, when we started to kind of, when we reopened our drive-through, and in May, when we were able to open up our dining room, we have now had for us 2 record months of profitability. And
Wow.
I totally credit our tough, I was about to say a bad word, our tough employees. I mean, these guys, our tough butt employees down there, and managers. I mean, we stayed with those guys. And so that's the type of people I want. And going forward, I am never going to forget that lesson. Ever, ever, ever. And I'm not going to let my leaders forget that lesson. You want the tough employees that show up no matter what. Those are the guys that are going to lead you to the promised land.
And I guarantee you, the one thing I know about you is I guarantee you believe in rewarding your employees. I guarantee you there is some incentive there. You've given some incentive. There will be some pay. There will be some bucks dropped.
Well, yeah. Today we just dropped $16,000 on 20 employees down there that stayed working for us over the last 8 weeks of COVID. Yeah. We dropped $16,000 worth of bonuses. Those are hitting their bank accounts today. That's why I'm a little bit excited. And as soon as I get done recording this today, I'm actually jumping in an employee meeting to announce that we're going to continue that for the next 8 weeks.
Yeah.
And do it again, because I just want these tough guys that show up to work and get the hours to continue to get rewarded and to know we love them. I mean, so I appreciate you.
So Thad, let me ask you one thing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I completely get it, and I completely, respect Andy, and I respect your opinion on these tough employees. Yeah. But I think that the challenge we have is that the struggle of finding enough tough employees, that we wind up finding 60% of them. So we've got to, and being able to balance that.
Okay, well, let's just talk. I mean, tough recruit tough. I mean, if you want to attract more tough people, have tough people there. I believe. Look, okay, it's an inherent, but this will go way down a rabbit hole here. But I believe it is a core value of mine. If you listened last week, I believe that God created us all equal, and I believe that every single employee starts a job wanting to do a great job.
Right.
Every dang one of them. So what happens to them is they get poisoned, like you mentioned earlier, by poor leadership or other people in the organization, or they get lifted up by amazing leaders and amazing tough employees. So if you want to attract those good, tough employees, the ones that you'll keep, the ones that won't turn over, make sure that's what you're employing. I think that's what you do.
It goes back to that old phrase. Sometimes it's easier to change employees than it is to change employees, if that makes sense.
That's exactly
so sometimes it's better to replace them and go again, rather than, because many owners, managers get comfortable with.
Hey, don't you think you should be demanding? I'm sorry, Vernon. I didn't mean to speak over you, but it is my podcast. It is what I think.
Absolutely.
But don't you think, and you've got a whole leadership group you're out there with. I mean, tell them they have to demand toughness if they want toughness.
Yeah.
You have to set the
absolutely
bar. You set the bar. You can't just.
And it always goes back to what our friend Carol says: what gets done, what gets inspected, and why people think it's rude to inspect employees' work or inspect what you want done. And we all, whether you're in a restaurant with a health department or whether you're in a child care program and you have your licensing people come in, what do we always get right on those inspections is what we know they check every time. And if we mess up something, they're going to check, then shame on you. Well, only once in a while does something off the wall, and they come up and check something they don't normally check. And so what gets inspected is what gets done.
So I think if you want to answer your question, and we'll kind of wrap that portion up of on that question, is, if you want toughness, demand toughness. You want more tough employees, make sure your employees are tough, and you're consistent. And when we say tough, we mean direct. We mean tough. Just be that, and you will attract that, no doubt. So, hey, lighter note, we're going to ask this question today. What is the last thing you bought on Amazon?
Good golly, I bought a ton of stuff on Amazon. The last thing though that I bought was my lights.
Your lights.
My light here for
Oh, do you have a circle light? Oh, there you go. I like it.
Yeah, but I have to be careful because my glasses reflect and look like I have glowing eyes, so I have to make sure my eyes are out.
My daughter just asked for like some LED lights to go in her room so that she can, I guess on TikTok, it's a new thing to do your dances and have different neon lights going off.
My neighbor across the street, I can always tell when she's doing something because I'm walking the dogs and I'm like, well, the disco's open over there. It's
I don't know if I'm going to let her have that. We're trying to keep her away from, dancing. That's so terrible.
Oh, were you like running Footloose in your house? Like, what do you mean keep her away from dancing?
Neil, what are you doing on here?
I just came back trying to help you parent your children.
You're breaking up. Like, I think you're having technical difficulties today. So if you could hit mute, that would be fantastic, again, please. But I don't mean like I'm running Footloose. We do encourage artistic expression over here, I guess. Anyways, hey, Vernon, great takes today. Great friend, great mentor, great leader out there. Any of you that want to hear more great takes from Vernon, directorleadershipsolutions.com. I hope I said that right, Vernon. Or join their Facebook group at directorsolution.com. It's great for childcare directors, also any other small business management. It's a great resource for your managers to jump on. So make sure to jump on there. Also book Vernon. He is stinking hilarious and a great keynote speaker. He will capture people's attention and give them great information. So feel free to book him at any time. But now, thank you, Vernon. I appreciate you, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
Man. So now it's time for What Thad Thinks, everybody's second favorite portion of this show. And I have last week we did a little hurricane round. I think or was it tornado? I can't really remember. Tornado. I think Ashley was the one that named that. But so we're going to do a little tornado round again today on What Thad Thinks. So first one, customer comes first. I'm a customer first capitalist. It is first, is it good for the customer? Second, is it good for the company? Third is the employee. Fourth, I'm going to give a little ad. Is it good for the community? And lastly, is it good for the owner? If you can get your business priorities straight, you will see much more success. Second thing on What Thad Thinks, find your tough employees. Don't forget that. Find your tough employees, the one that you want to be in a foxhole with you, that you know you can count on no matter what. The more of those you get, the more of those you'll attract. The more you'll attract, the more they'll train people how to be. Last thing I bought on Amazon were micro SD cards, batteries, and pens, writing pens. We ordered them all the same day. By the way, what else do I think? I think these little Pilot G2 pens, I don't get paid by them. I don't get paid by anybody for this. This is on my own dime. But these Pilot G2 pens, oh my gosh, that's the best pen made. Right, and thinking of pens, that was a highlighter. Thinking of pens, write it down. Waiters, quit trying to take my order without writing it down. Write that stinking order down. Only thing that's going to happen is something bad if you don't write it down. It doesn't make me feel better that you remembered it and spent 6 extra minutes repeating the order back to me because you didn't want to write it down. Write it down. Employees, young people out there, if there's any young people, and one of my baseball players actually listened to my podcast last week. If you're young, learn to write it down. Take your teacher's notes. Write down stuff the coach tells you. Have something to write stuff down on when someone gives you a piece of advice or asks you to get something done. Or when your parents say, hey, while I'm gone, clean your room, empty the trash, and pick up the poop outside. Write all those 3 things down so you don't forget. Don't tell me you forgot later. Show some respect. Managers, write it down. Sit on a podcast like this and write your notes down and review them. Tell your kids you want them to be successful. Start telling your kids to write stuff down. And maybe use this really good pen. Major League Baseball, get your butts back on the baseball field. Soccer's figured it out. NASCAR's figured it out. NBA's figured it out. Get your butts out there. Start playing ball. Hey, states, you need to open. Take the handcuffs off your business owners. Let them and their community make decisions about what's safe. We don't need your control. Let the business owners make good decisions, and the consumer will make even better decisions. The communities will make better decisions. Get your handcuffs off of them. Politicians are so out of touch with their job. They're in their bubble. If you've been around a while, it's probably time to go. Your resume will speak louder than your words and political stunts you keep trying to pull on the American people. I also think, hey guys, there's going to be winners and losers. Don't forget, coming out of these crises, there's going to be winners and losers. There always will be. Those of you that get bigger, stronger, faster, and are focused of getting full and focused on that customer, you will be the winners. That's what I think. I also think, be first. Don't make excuses. No crying and whining. Think big. Go win. Be first. First to open. First to offer this. First to pay your employees a certain way. First to take care of customers in a certain way. Start looking at your business and try to figure out what you can be first at. You want to be successful? Try to figure out what you can be first at. Check us out at betterbeans.com for all your remodeling, rebranding, construction, design, graphics. A lot of our new website will absolutely blow your mind. Some of the work we've done for people around the country. Check us out. Every Friday, download, subscribe this, 11:59. You'll hear a little bit about what Thad thinks. Thank you so much for joining today. And that's all. Adios.